Greetings, G4G fans. It's Napalm Dawn, and we're here in Marvel Duel to take a look at a specific deck that I ran a couple days ago and some of the new cards that we're getting for the new season in Marvel Duel. So as you can see here, the splash screen tells us that the Gladiator theme is the theme for this season. It features a 6-gem, 30-power Gladiator Hulk. It says during the prep phase, when a friendly character is summoned into the arena, give them 10 power and critical hit guard if they are attack or guardian character. Into the arena is the other spell highlighted that says after playing this card, all friendly characters except for Gladiator Hulk would be removed before damage calculation and at the beginning of the prep phase and the rest of the game. After refreshing the shop, summon a random character from the shop and give them +5 power for each additional into the arena you have. Multiple into the arenas only trigger once. Wow, very interesting 2 cards over there. It's going to be crazy to see how they play out. For the comments of this video, do not mention anything about Marvel Avengers Alliance Redux, as it has nothing to do with the topic at hand. So, and asking questions down there will just kind of be a waste of your time. So it's kind of cool, since the last time you guys have seen my Marvel Duel collection, I've picked up some golden cards along the way. I've got a gold Frost Giant, and actually this is my whole collection, so this is a good way of doing it. I've got a couple gold cards now. That Frost Giant is one of them, and I do have some others. My missing cards part of my collection is doing pretty good. There's not too much that I'm actually missing anymore. I mean, into the arena, Gladiator Hulk doesn't count. We just got the new season a day or two ago, so it's really hard to mention those. Some of them I don't quite have a 4, like Hellcrown. I don't have 4 on that, as I had to make it. But then again, you really only need 1 or 2 in a particular match. Web of Life and Destiny, Life Model Decoy, all relatively new cards that I don't have all the way on 4. Doctor Strange is getting there at 3, Dormammu at 2, Surtur at 2. So the collection's been going pretty well. Missing Karmic Staff, which could be cool. Haven't really been missing it. Generational Pendant, I'm kind of happy I've got that one in gold, because I did just build a I modified my Captain Marvel skill deck recently based on one that I went up against, where it kind of goes heavy on the extra attacks from Captain Marvel's set over here, or Intergalactic War. There are 2 things you could do with Captain Marvel cards. You can go into the Kree Soldier summons and go that route, or you can go into the extra damage route and boost Captain Marvel, or Miss Marvel, and even Marvel later on. But this deck is slightly different. So the particular deck that I wanted to show you the game of was my Intelligence deck. So my Intelligence deck, I was running in casual recently and got to pick a Black Widow passive that I had never really been able to pick before. And oh my god, it played out so particularly well. So here on the Intergalactic War side, we're looking at Minerva. A lot of these are old. I really have to adjust this side of Captain Marvel. But then again, she's not really kind of a big player in the deck. There's a couple cool things, like Negabands is different. It actually used to go on Guardians. Super Skrull is there to emulate some of the Intelligence Gathering Black Widow cards. Psych Magnetron probably should go. Accuser's Hammer. Like, this is mostly throwaway trash. Here on Hela, I make good use of Hush Now. Destroyer actually is pretty fun for this deck. Hellcrown is good. Graham over here, it's okay. not really super important for the deck, and Casket of Ancient Winters is not really that important to the deck either. Everything is based off of intelligence, and Iron Maiden Electroshock Batons are very big. These are all intelligence cards over here. Uru Swords of the Widow are intelligence based also. However, the Black Widow deck really has a lot of support characters. This deck does not make use of an attack character until you get up to Fear itself, Black Widow. And Widow's Aim, the Disc-Built Dark Star. Here under the neutrals, Hydra Bombardment was a very, very big player, as you'll see. And actually, anything that summons Hydra minions makes good use of one of the passives there. So that passive is from Black Widow, or in my case, Taskmaster. There are several skins right now for Black Widow, including one I don't have. I don't have the... Do I have the movie? I think there is one. That's being really slow. So the default is normal Black Widow. And then you have the Fear itself one. You have the Marvel Studios one. And you have Taskmaster. I thought there was one Black Widow suit that I don't have. Let me take a look in the shop really quick. Huh. Yep, okay. So there is one that I didn't have, and as you can see, I've got pretty much the majority of the others. So, the Black Widow passive, that was a bucket of fun. Agile movement. After a friendly character attacks an opponent with 5 power or lower, let them take another action immediately. You can maybe see how that could work out if you were filling the enemy side with a lot of Hydra agents, as they tend to be low on power. And it works out super well. So here it is. This sword is one of the key things on the passive. And as you can see, it was casual. I was number 1. Called a Starburst Expert. Oh, I can't show it. Well, this is what the final front line actually wound up looking like. He was good. Claw was good for buffing up this Natasha over here. Destroyer with the Electro Shock Batons over here did a lot of work. But really, it was Iron Maiden, and then later Iron Maiden with those silver swords. So, the swords are really, really good with that passive, and I will show you how it actually works if you are pumping in some Hydra agents. Now, that was not on purpose. I just had Hydra gear from the neutral part of my deck, but look at what Silver Sword says. 8 power, defeat, recover 8 damage to this card. Great when equipped on a friendly character with high power. So, here's what happens with that particular deck and why it worked out so well. When you look in the neutral cards, Hydra Bombardment is there. Hydra Bombardment basically says anytime there is an open gap on the enemy team, summon a Hydra agent from a random slot and then deal 5 damage to the adjacent character. So, if you were fighting Mystic decks that like to bring cards in from the hand during battle, Hydra Bombardment triggers instantly. And it starts bombing them. When you have other Hydra generating things like the grenade launcher, you're creating Hydra agents over there again. The Black Widow passive says if you attack somebody 5 or lower, you attack again. When you add the Silver Sword to the mix, why that is so good is because you recover the damage. So as long as you constantly attack things 5 and below on any character that gets 8 power or higher, you will basically continue to attack until you run out of targets that have 5 or less power. And that's where the intelligence comes in. So intelligence reduces power of the enemy. So at the start of a turn, give a random friendly character +2 power and gain 1 random intelligence card of your current opponent. Try not to repeat it with intelligence cards you have. What intelligence does is at the start of battle, reduce the power of the corresponding character by intelligence level times 5. So if you have 2 intelligence cards for a particular enemy, let's say Darkstar, if I had 2 Darkstar intelligences, she would be reduced to 0. If I only had 1, she would be reduced to 5. As long as the enemy deck isn't running excessively high power cards, you can generally push a lot of the cards to 5 power or lower, especially in the mid game. When you have somebody like Iron Maiden, who is getting buffed based on the intelligence cards you have in your hand, and then you eventually add the Silver Swords, she just attacks a lot, and she just carves her way through the enemy line. When you have Hydra characters involved, and you're pumping Hydra enemies to the other side, not only is that good for Destroyer, who gets to target a weak opponent and then splash through Pierce, but it's also good to let one of your attack characters keep attacking and attacking and attacking and attacking. Now, because of that passive, we'll see that here, after any friendly character attacks an opponent with 5 power or lower, let them take another action immediately. So you have, on the far left side of the Widow deck, you have Iron Maiden with Electroshock Batons early, and then eventually you could push it towards Silver Swords when it comes up, which is how that match wound up. But then it also is good for Destroyer in the back end. You tend to put Destroyer to the right of your tanks so that they get attacked the least likely. You'd either have to have somebody across from them like a black cat, or you'd have to have AoE, or the tank would have to die early on, and then Destroyer might start taking attacks and get weak. But when you have Destroyer firing multiple times, if he's hitting people below 5, it really, really has good synergy with having Hydra on the other side of the field, because he gets to pick a Hydra character who is below 5 power, usually, and then attack again. The same thing happens for Iron Maiden. So it's just this cacophony of attack, 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 and just carving their way down through the line. Even if they don't get a kill, they will attack again, provided the power is 5 or below. So it is a rare circumstance that it would happen, but it does. And then once you add the Silver Sword, which gives you the regeneration powers there of recovering damage, it's really good. So this Hydra soldier that you can see here, they have 2 power. So if you start filling the enemy team with those, you just give a lot of targets to have your agile characters attack, and then when you have good weapons on them and good intelligence reducing the enemy hit points, and you have the Hydra Bombardment reducing the enemy hit points just by straight damage, this becomes a really, really powerful combo. I wish I could show the duel. Unfortunately, I can't. But if you want to take a look at the deck, I would kind of ignore my Captain Marvels. I think who you run in this slot, in my Captain Marvel slot, could be anything. Super Skrull is kind of handy to duplicate somebody who generates intelligence. This really has a lot of old Intergalactic War characters here that have changed a bit and don't do quite the same things. Like, you can't do the Miss Marvel Negaband combo anymore, but you can do support with Negabands, which is okay. really a high-powered Ronin. Minerva's not really super important. Now, I have to see if I can get Captain Marvel out and get somebody in. Over here on Hela, Hush Now is really, really good because down the stretch, if you weaken people with the Hush Now below 5, your characters will be able to get multiple attacks. Fenris has changed from where he used to be. Potentially, I think I will throw in 1 Blood Axe over here. Could be good on Curse, could be good on Destroyer. To get lots of attacks. Hellcrown is pretty good for this one. Bewitching Spell could also be good, just to reduce summons on the enemy side. However, there really isn't that much room in the deck for it. I think I need to adjust my 6-card drops. You don't want too many power cards, really, in this one, or tactical ones, I should say, because this deck has so many that eventually you're going to start throwing away tactical cards to meet the limit of 5. However, it's robust enough in the tactic cards that you can go ahead and use some in the beginning of the game, and then when you start having too many, you can make appropriate decisions for what you want to keep. Casket, yeah, I could go Casket and slap it on my 1 tank. I don't run a lot of guards on here. Frost Invasion, not that big. Enchantress could have some meaning. Let's see, Surtur. Salt take an action. Actually, Surtur would be really good on this multiple attacking Surtur at 40. Could be good if he clears his way through Maverick. Really, the meat of this deck is here under Black Widow. It's most of the intelligence cards in her deck. You can either go Agent or you can go Intelligence, and this deck goes Intelligence. Here under Neutral, you could probably serve yourself well by adding some Hydra generating cards over here to generate weak Hydras on the enemy team so that you have targets. Maybe not the Hydra reduction cap. I think the aim bomb is a little bit better. Strucker would have a reasonable place in there. Even maybe a shield medkit would also have some value. If you get somebody like Iron Maiden, she runs out of turns in the beginning because she hits somebody more than 5, but then if she gets healed up and has a chance to do it again in the next round, that'd be good. Could do a Zemo in here. However, I like my 4 drops already. Crossbones could potentially be very, very good for this deck. Run Crossbones as your tank. Generate a lot of Hydra characters on the enemy team and then just constantly blow them up with your passive. The thing is, you have to be hopefully lucky to roll the passive. If you don't roll the passive, then I think this deck is definitely far weaker. Could run the Captain America shield to give your tank a little time to live longer so that your multi-attackers can maybe come back around. The Silver Sword. I thought the Silver Sword was actually in the deck. You are going to have more value than the Juggernaut Helm. And then over here in the 6-drop, hard to say who it should be. Winter Soldier could be good for it because of his multiple action time and his critical hit. Hyperion's always okay. Wrath Restraint's not really super big for this deck. If you're running into a lot of Hydra characters, you could do the Spider Bomb. But yeah, it's a fun deck if you could draw that particular passive. And it really The deck was not designed to do that. I designed it as an intelligence deck. It just so happens to work because if you Hydra Bomb and you Hush Now and you use intelligence to weaken characters to get their power low enough, you're going to have a really fun time with it. So, I hope you guys like this video. If anybody out there is still playing Marvel Duel, give the deck a chance, see what you think about it, and if you've been playing in this new season, what do you feel currently is a pretty strong meta right now? What are you feeling? I think we might see more of the Intergalactic War extra damage decks this time around. I have just a small feeling about it. So, thanks for watching, guys, and have a good weekend.